Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg, episode 150. Whoo doggy. That's pretty cool, huh? That's pretty cool. Yeah, 150. Yeah, okay. Silent reflection there. Today we're playing Stardew Valley, which is a game that when it came out, I think I got it right when it came out, and it was still, I think it was in early access. I'm pretty sure. Um, and I remember playing a little bit. I remember thinking I really liked the graphics. I thought it was cute. But I didn't really get that far. I remember it being kind of different. They didn't explain that much, and it was kind of tricky. And I don't know. I didn't get that far. Um, but now, just the other day, I picked it back up again. I was like, oh, I wonder, how far it's come along. And yeah, it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit better now. And the game is it's just so damn charming. Like, my God, the graphics and the music and just it's just so it's comfy. It's a comfy game. If you know what I'm talking, it's just a very comfy game. You can just sit there and just kind of relax and just farm and raise chickens and talk to people, and it's just, yeah, there's combat. You can go into the mines, you can kill stuff and blah blah blah, but the rest of the game is just so comfy. The music is just so perfect. Anyways, that's Stardew Valley. Obviously I recommended it. It's just great. Um, anyways, I'm not here to talk about Stardew Valley. I'm here to talk about all sorts of other stuff. So this week on this channel was fairly one-dimensional. It was mostly Elder Scrolls. In fact, I did not even get a Zelda video out. Because I have none recorded and nothing like that, and just the motivation was not there to play any Zelda. I will really try to get one out this week. Not that anyone cares, it's because I care. It's like homework, really. It's something I gotta buckle down. Um, yeah. But there's a lot of Elder Scrolls. We technically wrapped up Daggerfall, though that was more of an unfortunate situation than anything. And we moved on to Morrowind, which I think a lot of people are more pleased about. Because I think most people found my channel, found me through my Skyrim playthrough. So, I think a lot of my fans are Elder Scrolls fans. So, Daggerfall and Arena are Elder Scrolls games, but not sort of. Whereas Morrowind now, you're in a real Elder Scrolls game, I think. And so I have my Morrowind pretty tricked out as far as graphics. It was really like my first thought when I was like, oh, okay, I got to start Morrowind. Let's look up mods, and so I did, and I did not know that it was going to look that good. Honestly, I think it looks really incredible. I can't wait to see what Oblivion looks like modded. And Skyrim, I know Skyrim can look really incredible modded, but I've only really had headaches with modding Skyrim, so that'll be fun when I get to that point. Anyways, so I have a few more Morrowind videos recorded, and I'm sure those will go up this week. We also did a Robo Recall video for the Rift, which was pretty fun. It's just really incredible game. Like, pretty much every day I load that up and I do a mission or two, and it's just a blasty blast how fun that game is. So, when things come out, when I purchase that, right now, pretty much all my money is being funneled into Gen Con, but otherwise, there will be VR in the future. Okay, why the hell? What the hell? It's like freaking out. Anyways, yeah, there'll be more VR in the future, I'm sure. And then we had Sprawl, which is continuing on, and as far as I can reckon, it seems like it will continue on for at least the near future. I mean, I'll talk about it more later, of course, but there was a chance of a TPK going down this session. It did not. I can spoil that. But we kind of discussed, like, okay, well, what happens if a TPK does happen? I asked Ziggy, and he said that he would be fine with us all making new characters and continuing the campaign. So, which is generally not what happens in a TPK. Generally, you just wipe the slate clean, you start something new. But I really like the Sprawl. I love Cyberpunk. It's my favorite sort of RPG setting, I think, and so that's good news. But we'll talk about that later. On the Exploring series, today I hit 70,000 subscribers, which is pretty exciting. It doesn't mean anything, but it's pretty exciting. You know, it's just... That's pretty exciting. Oh, I could be making mayonnaise. What am I doing with my life? I gotta be making mayonnaise. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, okay, I mean, I have a very unique channel. As far as channels go, mine is very unique because it's incredibly, like, not schizophrenic. I don't know. There's a word that I'm looking for. It doesn't settle on a specific category of things. I mean, it has a broad, overarching category of fictional lore, but it's incredibly variable. A lot of channels, you know, they're focused on gaming, and so people that like the personality of the person playing the game, and they generally like the games that are being played, which usually means like, you know, like Total Biscuit. You know, a lot of people, maybe not recently, but a lot of people like Total Biscuit. They like how he does it. They like how he handles himself, and you know, he reviews games and he discusses games and he discusses pretty much all types of games except sports games. And so fans of his channel are pretty much okay with that, and they'll watch whatever he puts out. And, you know, channels that are about, yeah, channels generally kind of have one specific genre or topic that they discuss, or that they are involved with, or they make videos on, blah, blah, blah. And so a subscriber of that channel generally knows what they're going to get when they subscribe, and they're okay with that. That's why a subscriber is usually a good thing, because you know you have repeat viewers. Whereas my channel, when you subscribe for Cthulhu Mythos, you see this awesome Cthulhu Mythos channel. You're like, oh man, this is great. I love the Cthulhu Mythos. I can't wait for all the videos that this guy's going to put out about Cthulhu Mythos, without realizing that it's done. Like, there are no more. There's no more. which isn't my fault. I mean, it is my fault, I guess, for not making more Cthulhu Mythos videos. But it's unfortunate then that I cannot communicate properly all of these things to people. And even if I could communicate properly to these people, a lot of them wouldn't listen. I mean, most people do not even read the description directly underneath a video. They will scroll past it without reading it and go straight to the comments. As in, they won't read the comment, they'll write their own comment. They will not read anything. That's the average YouTube viewer, which you probably already are aware, but it's very unfortunate. So I'm trying to mac on this Penny girl because she likes to read books and she lives in a trailer. Just my kind of girl. Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything. So, you know, you have people that are subscribing for Cthulhu Mythos, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Elder Scrolls, whatever. And when those videos kind of dry up, they retain their subscription because most people do not bother to remove their subscription. But they have no intention of watching any other videos. This is an issue for me. Well, I mean, it's an issue for pretty much everybody. You're never going to get as many views regularly as you have subscribers. It just does not work that way. But it's especially a problem for me because my content is so varied. So it's very cool to say I have 70,000 subscribers. It's a bragging thing. It's a way to pick up chicks. And when I get to 100,000, I get a plaque, which also doesn't really mean much anything besides the bragging thing. But really all that matters is views. That's what I get paid on. That's what matters. And so I could have 300,000 subscribers, but if I was still getting the same amount of views, it doesn't really make much of a difference. But still, I like to say I have 70,000 subscribers because it's cool. I think I need a silo. And I have to get that from the carpenter. I also need cows. I need so much. So much stuff. Anyways. So, yeah. This week I worked on the Dunmer video. Dunmer of Morrowind. Which is very relevant because I'm playing Morrowind right now. And in fact, I never knew the plot of Morrowind. Because, again, when I played it, I was just fucking around. I did all sorts of shit. I killed Vivek. I thought Vivek was, like, the main boss. I was young and pretty stupid, and I didn't pay attention to anything. So I never really knew the plot of Morrowind. But now I'm fully aware. And, so yeah, the Dunmer are not my favorite race. They're a bit... I mean, you could argue they're actually more Nazi-ish than the High Elves. The High Elves just kind of have a bad general reputation of being snooty assholes. The Dunmer are snooty, but they'll also just fucking enslave you. So that's nice. So I don't know. I had to truncate things. Vivek kind of deserves his own video because has quite a bit of history. It's going to be one of those videos where there's going to be people that come in and they know everything about the series, and yet they still just watch all these videos about it. They're going to come in and be like, well, you forgot this, this, and this, and you know, why don't you use the names? Like, you don't know their names. You just call them the Tribunal. You never use their names. What's wrong with you? Do your research. And it's like, asshole. Like, I would hope that I would know their, like, I don't know. A lot of people's opinion of me is just like some utter retard that is just like, I happen to like type words into my keyboard and somehow a video came out and but I don't know anything about anything, and I'm just stupid, and yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's part of being a YouTuber. Um, you'd hope that eventually you'd like garner some natural sort of respect, I guess. Like, oh, this guy has, all these videos. He has this many subscribers. This video has this many likes. Like, he probably knows what he's talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. That will never be the case. People will never assume that they are wrong. I don't know why I ate an egg. It's like, should I Google this? Should I take 10 seconds to Google this to see if I'm wrong and he's right? No, he has to be fucking wrong because he made a video about it and he's a dumb asshole. I'm gonna correct him right now. I'm not bitter. It's just kind of funny. It's funny and sad, I guess. Got my hot pepper. Excellent. So yeah, next. Well, I updated the Patreon. I decided that I wanted more people to vote in the polls, which I think is good. So I adjusted it so at a minimum of $1 now gets you early access to videos, and you get to vote in every weekly poll to decide the next video I work on. Because just more input is better, I think. My inventory is full. And then I dropped the $10 tier entirely, and now $5 gets you your name at the end of the video. Which, it looks spreadable. Nice. So $5 gets you your name at the end of the video, so the end of the video will probably get longer and longer, which means that, it extends the length of the video, which means I can put ads in and stuff like that. But it just kind of, it should promote support for the channel, I'm hoping. Because really, if like 1% of my viewers gave $1 a month, I'd be a pretty happy man. Like 50% of my viewers use ad block, roughly. And so even the ones that don't use ad block, that watch all the ads and all the stuff like that, one person really is like, gosh, I don't even know, like 0.03 of a cent every month compared to them just giving $1, and then they can run ad block all they fucking want for all I care. $1, that's nuts. And obviously, I mean, I don't deserve anything. I'm just making videos on the internet. But I mean, it's certainly possible now that it would get to a point where it'd be like, I don't know if this is worth it for me to do it every week, put that much time and stuff into it. So the support is nice. It is definitely nice. No doubt about it. And I mean, it does pretty much go towards stuff like, a better microphone and things like that. I mean, my videos are not as intensive as some of those, like, 100-some-hour projects that require cameras and, people and effects and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I make fairly basic stuff, all things considered. Anyways. So we'll see how that goes. Next week, I think it's going to be the Snow Elves, I believe. Which is an interesting thing. I don't really know a lot about them. but I'm sure by this time next week I'll be able to say quite a bit more than that. Anyways, that's all that stuff going on. I'm just watering some plants. Like I said, just very comfy stuff. It gets a little tedious when you have this many plants without any sprinklers or anything, but what you gonna do? Board gaming. Okay, so Monday we were going to do Tales Under Moonlight, which is an event we've joked about for a while, and now we finally want to do it, which is playing Tales of Arabian Nights on Ziggy's balcony under the moonlight at night. Obviously with some other lighting, because that would be pretty dark. And so he wanted to do this Monday, but then Mert comes in, and he says that he's probably available, and you don't want to do Tales with 5 people, so we're like, okay, we'll switch it up. And it happened to be Mert's birthday, so it was his choice for games. And of course I was pushing for Cosmic, just because it's Cosmic. and he likes Cosmic, so I figured, okay, you know, I'll put the suggestion in. And so it ended up narrowing down to Cosmic Encounter and Age of Discovery. And it was pretty funny, because Ziggy's like, you know, if you want me to bring Age of Discovery as an option, you know, that means you're seriously considering it. And I don't really like Age of Discovery. It's a Euro game. It's just very dry and slow, and there's really not much interaction. You know, it's like, it's a worker placement pretty much. There's not much interaction with other people other than like, oh, I'm going to go here and you can't go there now. Oh, I'm going to go here and so you can't go there now. I mean, it has a little bit more because there is like a map and you're putting dudes on the map, but conflict is pretty minimal, and it's just, yeah, it's not one of my favorites. And so Mert's like, yeah, bring it. And so we get there, we sit down, I pull out Cosmic, he pulls out Age of Discovery, and Mert's like, oh, how long does Age of Discovery take? And it's like, oh, you know, pretty long, like 3 hours. And Mert's like, oh, no, I can't do that. Cosmic it is. And it was really funny, because he had to lug it all the way there. It's a big box. But we ended up playing Cosmic, so I was happy with that, because it is the greatest game ever made. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be... If a fire destroyed all of my board games except for Cosmic Encounter, and so all I had was Cosmic and, like, role-playing games, my life would probably be pretty okay. I wouldn't be... I mean, I'd be sad, because that's, like, thousands of dollars that I could have just sold rather than be destroyed. But I wouldn't be devastated with a lack of anything to do. I'd have Cosmic and role-playing games. So we sat down for Cosmic. 2 aliens, 1 face up, 1 hidden. You can reveal your hidden alien at any time. It also, doing it that way with 2 aliens means that there's 4 flares per player in the game, which means there's a lot more flare cards. And it basically means the game is a lot more hectic and insane than it normally is, which is perfect because it's Cosmic Encounter. That's exactly what you want. And so, I wonder if Penny likes ice cream. Well, everybody likes ice cream. I gotta find Penny and give her this shit. Yeah, so it's not like that's the only way I'd play Cosmic with double aliens, but for now it is the best way to play Cosmic. It just makes Cosmic more cosmic-y. So that's just good. Where's she at? There she is. She's always got these kids she's tutoring. Damn it, I've already given her gifts. I'm just gonna eat this in front of you then. Snooty bitch. Anyways. I guess I should talk to her. The mountains look nice today. They sure do, Penny. You're a great conversationalist. She's just shy. Anyways. I have a craving for red mullet. I want to say it's a fish, but it's pretty funny if you just assume it's like a person with a red mullet. Anyways. So my aliens for that game were Maven and the Industrialist. And neither one were really secretive, so they were revealed fairly quickly. The Industrialist is pretty simple. Basically, when you are a main player and you lose an encounter, you have the option. Well, you can tell the other person, the offense, or the other main player. You can tell them, give them the choice of allowing you to win the encounter instead of losing, which is good. You know, if you can win instead of lose, it's usually good. Or they can let you take the attack card that you played and put it on top of your Industrialist card. And then for all future encounters, whenever you play an attack card, you can add or subtract all attack cards from your sheet to your number. Which means that if you have like a 20 and a 10 and a 6 all stacked up on your Industrialist card, for all future encounters, when you play an attack card, you can add like 36 to your number, which means you can get pretty devastating if a game goes on long enough. It's not my favorite, because it is kind of a slow burn, and you have to lose encounters in order to use it, in order to build it up, and blah, blah, blah. But it was better than the other options, so okay. The Maven, though, was the real highlight. That was the real star of the game as far as I'm concerned, even though I didn't end up winning. It really made things interesting. Basically, the Maven, if you are not involved in an encounter whatsoever, you're not offense, you're not defense, you're not an ally, blah, blah, blah. If you sit out entirely, you can, before encounter cards are shown, you can just take the 2 encounter cards without looking at them, toss them aside, and then play an encounter card from your hand, and that card determines who wins or who loses the encounter. So if it's like an even number attack, the offense wins. If it's an odd number attack, the defense wins. And if it's a negotiate, they have to make a deal. So you kind of just determine the outcome, which is pretty fascinating. I think it was a red-colored card. Not because the power itself is difficult, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to know, the state of the game and how things are going in order to win it, in order to win with it. And so I very quickly, I even said this out loud. I said, it's not about using the power. It's about threatening to use the power. Mayonnaise is worth a frick ton. The wheat was worth shit ass. I shouldn't even grow that without a silo. Anyways, it was more about the threat than actually using it, because what I did throughout the whole game was I threatened people. If they didn't invite me on offense, I was just going to sit out, and I was going to force the defense to win by playing just an odd numbered attack card. No, I don't want to eat freaking radish. Meaning that they just had to invite me if they wanted to actually win the encounter. And most people, when they're playing, they want to win the encounter. And so I got... Ooh, comfy. I got invited on offense many times throughout that game. And yeah, I mean, I was in the lead for a while, although mysteriously, I continued to kind of like I continued to like lose colonies. Like mysterious, like even other people were like, I thought you had more than, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if someone was filching or if we were all just really stupid. I don't know what was happening, but for some reason I was losing colonies. It seemed like. Um, anyways, um, so yeah, I continually just threatened people. In fact, I only actually used the power twice, and both of those times were forced people to negotiate. Because, as I revealed at the end of the game, I never once could have forced the defense to win. I never, throughout the entire game, had an odd numbered attack card that I could have used. I had plenty of even number attack cards, but it was just luck of the draw. I never got an odd number one. And so every single time was just a bluff. But you're not really going to take the chance. You're just going to assume I have it. And so that's definitely one of my favorite aliens. Even though I didn't win, because it came down to Mert, who had, he revealed his hidden alien finally at the end of the game to win. His secret alien was the Sadist. And basically at the start of his turn, actually at the start of anybody's turn, it was on the start of my turn. So at the start of anybody's turn, if all other players except the Sadist, or maybe included the Sadist, it doesn't matter. If all the players have lost at least 8 ships to the warp, the Sadist wins the game. Which, if that's face up, if that's his only power, you can kind of just keep track of it and be like, okay, we got to watch out. We can't have this, we can't have this. But when no one is keeping track of that, yeah, if you don't, it can happen that way. Usually alternate win methods like that are usually the better aliens to pick for your hidden one. Because generally those aliens by themselves are not that powerful, and they usually allow people to kind of keep watch of it. Things like that. But yeah, it was. And so. It was his birthday. So I'm actually pretty okay with him winning. I think that's okay. Um, I mean, if it was my birthday, I'd want to win. I think that would make a really great birthday. So I'm glad that he won. Normally, no, Mert can rot in hell and lose last place, whatever. But on your birthday, exceptions can be made. So that was really good, and we got some more coup practice in, which is always good. We also got Ricochet robots in, which I'm not like a fanatic about Ricochet robots. I won, but that's just because I'm the smartest person in the room. Yeah. Anyways. Oh, I should have kept the pepper. I also need a tomato, a blueberry, and a melon, or is that a peach? I think it's a melon. Um, Also, my mom and I played the first two expansions scenarios for the Dunwich cycle of Arkham Horror, the card game, which were both pretty cool. One of them takes place in the Miskatonic Museum, and you're trying to like it's the Dunwich. Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the Dunwich horror, the story as like extended campaign, but there's a lot of other stuff thrown in. But you're basically like trying to protect the Necronomicon and get it before like Wilbur Whately can get it and stuff. And so the first scenario we did was in the Miskatonic Museum. It was pretty cool. We actually didn't have that tough of a time with it at all. And we ended up I mean, spoiler alert, but at the end of it, You get the choice of either like destroying the Necronomicon or like taking it with you, and it's both kind of have their pros and cons. I need another coop. So I took the Necronomicon because it was a pretty good card and it seemed pretty useful. She's never home. She doesn't like her trailer. I don't blame her. It's just I always have to check and she's never there. There she is. In the library. Reading some books. See, it's comfy. It's soothing. It's comfy. Oh, you want gifts now? I have gifts for you. Take this sweet pea. Because you're a sweet pea. Yes, looks special. Anyways. Then the second scenario we did took place on a train, which was pretty cool. Like, the train gets stuck and there's like this giant like black hole in the sky and it's like slowly sucking up the train cars, and so you have to like keep rushing on through, picking up all these clues and fighting stuff along the way without getting sucked up by staying behind. So that was pretty exciting. I like that one. And so we ordered a couple more, and hopefully I can pick up the rest of them at Gen Con. And yeah, I think it's easily my favorite cooperative game. Like pretty much easily. Sentinels is great. I do like Sentinels, and maybe for 4 people Sentinels is better. 5 people Sentinels is better, but 2-player cooperative, I mean, nothing can beat Arkham Horror, the living card game. It's just good stuff. That was pretty much it. So maybe tomorrow we'll get Tales Under Moonlight. And then this Friday we have our annual Board Game Royale, which is a Ziggy hosted event based on Casino Royale, but we replace poker with board games. Usually party games because there's like 8 of us. I'd really like to get in Captain Sonar this year. I tried to do it at the New Year's party, but just did not work out. Player count was variable throughout the night, so I don't know. We'll try. Otherwise, I'm sure Codenames and Murder in Hong Kong and blah blah blah. Ooh, that sound. Yeah, okay, so let's move on to the Sprawl. Alright, so the Sprawl. We left off with, we were all basically on the way to this nightclub, the Lollipop Club, with me playing as James Desolation Williams, a.k.a. Ice Cube. We have D, who is he's a killer with an automatic shotgun, who records his kills and uploads it to like an online snuff site, where he pulls in some side money and he's gaining reputation. And then we have Phil playing Knack. I'm surprised I remembered that. He's playing Knack, who's a hunter, which is not. He's really more like a bounty hunter. Like he's good at finding people, I guess. Which, when we're storming a nightclub and blowing everything up and killing everybody, his skill set is not particularly useful. So, anyways, they knew they knew that we were gonna go in there and we were gonna we were just gonna take the place with force. We were just gonna shoot the place up. They didn't really know exactly how ruthless Desolation Williams is. because, I mean, civilians, women, bartender, like, not, no, just, there are people in the club, they're gonna die. So, yeah, grenades were thrown, assault rifle clips were emptied, it was pretty brutal. I definitely had the highest kill count. I don't think anyone would dispute that. They said that civilians didn't count, but that's not what he said when he made the deal. He said paid by the body. That's what he said. That's what he said to me. Yeah. Grenades were used to break down doors. It was very loud and explosive and exciting. And so Phil kind of wanders off on his own. And he opens the door and he finds a guy, like a part of the gang, and he's holding one of the, like, a stripper or something like that. He's holding her hostage. He's got a gun to her head. And the guy says, let me out of here, or I'll blow her head off. And so, like, so Phil, like, holsters his gun, and he's like, all right, get out of here. And so as soon as he holsters the gun, the ganger just, he, like, points the gun at him, and he shoots him a bunch of times. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what would Desolation Williams do, man? So he ends up rolling pretty badly, and he actually takes a bullet through his eye. He loses an eye. Like, violently. It wasn't pleasant. He does manage to kill the guy with the help of the girl, who, like, stabs him in the neck with a piece of glass. And so he's like, I mean, he's not out. You'd think he'd be out. Just, you're done. But no, he does manage to just get back up and keep moving. Is that a fucking... You fuck! You fuck! Oh my god. What are you doing? You have one job. You have one job! Scared off 17 crows. It should be 18. What an ass. I'm gonna have to put up another scarecrow. What does that take? Fiber. I ain't gonna get fiber. Hold on. You're supposed to be giving me fiber. Anyways, so we continue storming the place. D is, like, right behind me and stuff, and I'm just slaughtering everything in my path, using up all my ammo, my grenades, blah blah blah. And the owner of the club basically is hiding in a panic room, and if Gug were there, he could have gotten into the panic room, but Desolation couldn't break it. He couldn't break it down, so it's just, oh well. He'll live to die another day. I did steal his jewelry and his drugs, though, because he left those behind. And so we find the freezer, which is where the stash is being held. My chickens are all grumpy because they didn't get to eat. My cat's just a lazy asshole. Cat should be scaring away the crows. What the hell? So we find the freezer. We find the stash that we were looking for. We open it up, and there are 10 cred sticks in there, in the briefcase or whatever. Each holding 1,500 credits. 1,500 new yen. Which, of course, is not a simple number to divide by 3. But that's irrelevant because Desolation was convinced that he was going to get 50%. And even when he kind of altered the deal to say pay by the body, you know, it's like that's when they came up that they, you know, he's like, well, the civilians don't count. It's like, well, you didn't fucking say that, did you? And so like I'm like holding an assault rifle and I kind of casually wave it in his direction. I'm like, you know, are we gonna have a problem here? um, and so we decided to settle it, you know, later, you know, because I'm sure the cops are on their way or whatever. Um, And so we bust out of there. We walk out, and right out the front door, there are two cops waiting there next to their squad car. And they're just kind of standing there, and they're like nodding at us. And so the others correctly interpreted this to mean that they didn't want like a shootout. Like they thought they were like approving of us, which wasn't the case. Really, what the case was that they like were sent here because there was like gunshots heard and stuff like that, and you know, obviously it's cyberpunk, so the police do not usually in lesser neighborhoods, they really don't send much of an effort. So this is what they sent to take care of this problem. And these two cops, you know, heard these like explosions and shit, and they're like, we're not going in there. And so they just kind of waited outside, and they saw us, and they were just going to ask for like a bribe, so that they could say that, you know, we were gone by the time they arrived. They just wanted a little bit of money. But before they had any chance to say any of this, Desolation Williams pulled the pin on a frag grenade and tossed it right over there before emptying a clip onto the squad car. And so, of course, they died pretty quickly. And so the others were like, you know, what the fuck? Actually, you know, when I threw the grenade, Ziggy asked us all to write down what our next action was in this moment of chaos. You know, we all simultaneously write down what we wanted to do, and then we would do it, which means that, you know, we didn't know what the other people were doing. It's a good tactic used occasionally because you don't know what the other people are going to do, so you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll do that, or, you know, that doesn't affect, it can't affect what you're deciding to do. And so I was worried that, you know, there was that tension with the stash and all that between me and Thomas. I was like, you know, is he going to try something? Is something going to go down here? Should I act first? And I was so close to writing down that I elbow him in the face and grab the briefcase. I was so close. I can't even tell you. But then I was like, oh, no. It's... it was really like... it was a tense moment in my head. And I found out he just like dove for cover. He did not do anything, and so I would have just been like a real dick. But I was like, you know, if he's gonna try to pull something on me and just put me down before I can try anything, you know, that would just make me look like a damn fool. But if it was the other way around, I would still look like a damn fool. So it turns out that, you know, I just shot up the squad car and he dove for cover. So, you know, no real enemies were made that day. Thomas is not really the type of player that would do that. Generally, he tries to make everything kind of work out where we're all buddies. So it shouldn't have been a tense moment. I should have just realized he wouldn't have done anything. But anyways. So cops are dead, squad car is blown up, and we decide, okay, let's meet at D's place and we'll deal with this stash. So, you know, I don't want this stash out of my sight any longer than it has to be, so I head straight over there. D heads straight over there. Wishes to study the arcane properties of the seaweed. Okay, you can just say seaweed. But 60 gold just for that? Just to please the fucking wizard? I don't know about that shit. Anyways. I gotta find the chick. You have to talk to him every day. Just like real life. So D and I were heading straight over there. And unfortunately for Knack, nice weather. Yes, it is nice weather. Unfortunately for Knack, he decided to go and get his eye fixed, or his eye patched at the very least. So he went to kind of like it wasn't even a street doctor, it was like a van doctor. It was a doctor that just drove around in a van fixing people, which isn't really, I mean, he fixed them in the van, but obviously he's not well, with self-driving cars, I guess the van could keep driving by itself while he fixes people. But anyways, that was the situation. So he was not present while we negotiated the stash, the loot. And so basically it just came down to, I convinced him to give me the 50%, give me 10 of the sticks, 15,000 new yen. And we were kind of at a tenuous point where he said, you pointed a fucking gun at me. And he was like, if that ever happens again, there's going to be a firefight. And I'm like, all right, deal. I'll be there. But I got my 15,000 new yen, which is pretty good because I got my own apartment then. In fact, I moved in directly next door to D, which is pretty funny. And I also bought a used vehicle, a nice muscle car on Craigslist, which was pretty good, legal and all that stuff. So I got a place to live and I got a car. So I was pretty happy with my payday. I had like $4,000 or something like that left over, and I was like, boy, I can just retire. Like, I could take like a month off or something like that. But no, they want to do another job like the next day. So pretty much like D and I went to a pool party that Gulk invited us to, and we just kind of hung out there, drank some beers and stuff. And so the rest of the session was pretty much entirely on Phil. He kind of like did everything, for better or worse. Basically, he started going on this website looking for work. And it's hard to tell if he was looking for work for the group or work for himself. I think a little of both. And he doesn't actually end up like... He does end up getting a job for us. Basically, it's against the Phoenix Downs again, so the same gang we just ran up against. No, my inventory's full. Stay right there. I'll be right back. This guy is just gonna pay us to go and take out the entire production of the Phoenix Downs. Just wipe them all out in one fell swoop. Hold on. Just want to keep like all this shit. Why do I keep planting wheat without a silo? But to get a silo, I need... Go find out. Anyways, wants us to wipe them all out. They apparently have like their secret base or something like that. That's in some like it's in like a canyon, and it's like this rock structure that's built into there, something like that. And so I tell the guy, like, okay, we'll do it, no problem. 100 grand. Which, it was just like a number that I threw up there. I was like, 100 grand, that sounds like a good amount, right? And it is a good amount. I didn't really think he would accept, because he was thinking more like 50 grand, but I was like, I'll turn right around for 50 grand. And so I had to get the job, and I ended up rolling really well. Actually, no. Incorrect. I ended up rolling well. And so I had, like, all these options I could pick from, like, that would benefit us for the job. But the only one that mattered was the job pays well. That's the only one I cared about. So the job pays well. He agreed to 100 grand. And I was thinking, okay, I'll just take, 40 grand or something like that. I'll buy myself a cool, I don't know, rocket launcher or something. I don't know. We'll see. Actually, I mean, with that money in the slums, you could retire. I could retire Desolation if I wanted to, if he survives, which I don't think he will. But anyways, the rest of the session then was about Phil. So Phil did not have a vehicle of any kind. And so he took public transportation, which is what Desolation did, but right after he did that job, he went out and he bought, a vehicle, which was smart because, we were wanted men at this point, and so public transportation, people are going to see your face, and so basically the bus driver ended up recognizing Phil's character, and so like silently alerted the police. And so this police blockade formed that stopped the bus. And so Phil was in a bit of a pickle. It was a police blockade. So there was like 4 squad cars, 2 on either side of the bus. Bus driver runs off. And so Phil's like the only person on the bus, which is pretty funny. And he has to get out of the situation. And Phil's not really good at these types of things, so I did not give him any. I would have honestly bet money that he would not have gotten out of there. Maybe he could have gotten out alive, but, under arrest. So I didn't think he was going to get out of there, just by himself, no problem. And so, yeah, a firefight kind of ensues, and he uses flashbangs. He ends up killing 2 more cops. He ends up trying to drive the bus away, which crashes. And so he actually does end up, like, almost dying. But he rolls well. And so he actually gets rescued by the fucking van doctor, which is just ridiculous, but okay. And, So, the van doctor, unfortunately, does not survive his getaway. The van gets shot up a bunch of times. So, the van doctor is actually, like, Phil wakes up in the back of the van. The van doctor is dead. And, the cops are apparently, I don't know, he managed to evade the cops, but he died from his injuries. So, it's impressive. So, he's in, like, some alleyway with the van. And, Phil is not in good condition. And so, like, he basically, like, abducts a homeless dude. This homeless guy, like, knocks on the van, and, Phil opens it up, and the homeless guy's like, oh, I thought it was abandoned. And Phil said the best line of the night. He said, "It is now. Get in," which just doesn't make any freaking sense. Like, if it's now abandoned, they're both in. It just, oh my gosh, it was. There was a lot of laughter from this whole sequence. Anyways, so he abducts this hobo named David. He forces him to, like, I mean, it was okay. It was. I recommend just watching it, but it was very hilarious because there was a lot of, like, innuendos and stuff like that flying around. But he basically abducts this guy, forces him to, like, bandage him up, which he does a real shitty job. He drives out into, like, the desert, and he, like, desperately needs medical attention. Like, he's at death's door pretty much. And so he doesn't have my number, and I would have just said fuck off anyways, but he tries calling D, but D now has, like, this nightly ritual where he takes Green Goblin, which is this fictional drug that he made up, that basically, like, it makes you think that you're pretty much like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man, but you're not, or it's kind of weird. But anyways, he was completely just tripping balls. So he was of no assistance. So Phil just hangs up, and he tries calling, like, a doctor that he got from, like, the Phoenix Downs Rolodex or what. Like, he just tries calling this Phoenix Downs doctor, but he can't bluff his way through it, so he just, like, hangs up on him too. So then he posts an ad online that he needs medical attention and he's willing to pay. He's out in the desert. And so he ends up getting this guy answering it, and he's like, I'll pay 3,000. 3,000 new yen. And so I even said it out loud. I'm like, he's just going to, like, fucking ambush you or kill you, whatever. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. He gets ambushed by this guy and his buddy. He was kind of ready for it, probably because I said something. But he puts David, the hobo, in the driver's seat, and he sits in the back. And so David just gets, like, shot up immediately and dies. And so Phil actually does manage to get the best of them and does kill both of them, and he steals their car. And he does drive himself all the way back to D's. He, like, collapses on his front door, and D, Thomas, if it was Desolation, we just said, like, he would just laughed and closed the door. But Thomas does care about the sanctity of the group. God bless him. And so he took him in. He called up a doctor friend of his. It's like 4:30 in the morning, but he gets him patched up. And, like, the doctor's like, he's gonna need, like, a week of rest. And he's like, well, I need him in 2 days for this job. And so the doctor gives him just, like, a bag of drugs, and he's like, here, just have him take all this before you do your job. So, yeah. So the job is gonna happen next session. We're probably all gonna die, but afterwards, we all resolved that if there's a TPK here, we're gonna all make new characters that are, like, serious, and they are capable and seriously are interested in becoming, like, professional runners, like doing, like, corporate shit. Because I've never done it, and it would be interesting to do instead of just all this street level stuff, which is a lot of fun. It's very funny, but I'd like to see the other side of the Cyberpunk game. So that was we resolved to do that if we get a TPK, which I think will probably happen. It seems pretty destined, but we'll see. So yeah, that was that. I'm over an hour now. The last thing that I want to talk about, just because I have to mention it, is the Dark Tower movie. I saw it on Friday, opening night, or I don't know if it's actually opening night. I guess that's Thursday now. But yeah, so Dark Tower. I am halfway through the 5th book in the series. Technically, there's 7, but there's, like, 2 half books that are kind of, like, thrown in there now as well. So technically there's 8, I guess. But anyways, I've read 5.5 books. Lengthy books. And so I consider myself a Dark Tower fan. I mean, it's hard to say if it's my favorite book series. I mean, I might have to reserve until I finish the whole series to say if it's my favorite. It's definitely up there. I really, really enjoy the whole series. All the characters. It's really been just a fantastic read so far. None of my friends have ever. I don't think they even ever heard of the books. Most of them, before they heard about the movie, so they're not Dark Tower fans. Um, so they thought it was okay. It was just like a science fiction action movie with Idris Elba and McConaughey. They thought it was okay, nothing great, but decent. It had its problems, but it was decent. For me, before the movie started, I ordered I ordered a mojito. I've never ever drank alcohol during a movie in my life, but I was like, I'm gonna need a mojito for this one. So I drank a mojito. Halfway through the movie, the waitress comes over and she's like, would you like another mojito? And I should have said yes. It would have probably helped a little bit. That's what I'm saying to you. It was probably the most offensive movie I've ever seen in my life. To me, I think I'm pretty sure it was easily the worst movie for me that I've ever seen in a movie theater. The closest thing that I can compare it to for me was the Dunwich horror movie that I reviewed. I did like a 3-part or something like that review of it, where I just tore it apart and how how just terrible it was compared to the source material, how much they ruined it and things like that. Dark Tower makes that movie look like a faithful adaptation of Lovecraft. I don't want to spoil anything because I think everybody should read the books. So I don't want to say how wrong it is, but it's hard for them to have gotten it more wrong and still call it the Dark Tower. It just was like, it hurt. Like, it hurt. It hurt to watch this. It's not just that. Oh, they didn't. They made a movie of the Dark Tower and it wasn't good and it wasn't faithful and it's just, just try and enjoy it as just its own thing using the characters and blah blah blah. It's not just that. It's not just that I can't disassociate the books and the movie and whatever. It's also the fact that this was it. Like, this was it for Dark Tower on a screen. It'll be decades before anybody decides, oh, remember Dark Tower? We should try something with that again. It'll be decades before that happens because of how fucking atrocious this thing was. And it's not just that it was like, if it was atrocious as an adaptation of the books, but by itself for like regular people that didn't know anything, it was like a really good movie. Like, oh man, Idris Elba was really badass and McConaughey was so cool and it was just a great story, but it had nothing to do with the books, but oh, it was really cool. Like, that would be okay. It'd be like, all right, it's got Roland, he says the gunslinger Creed, it's got the Man in Black, the Dark Tower, and you've got Eddie and Susanna and all this stuff, but no, it's just all around fucking just atrocious and a travesty. And so what I would really want is like a Game of Thrones style, well, not style, but a Game of Thrones type series where it's, 8 seasons and it's just this massive production. And even then, it of course cuts a lot of stuff out of the books because it just is what it is. But it's hours and hours and hours of content, based on the book series. That's what I would prefer. Aside from that, even like an 8 movie series, like the Harry Potter series, something like that would be like, all right, they're going to cut out huge amounts of stuff. They're going to change things. But over 8 movies, you're going to get a lot of Dark Tower. Aside from that, even one movie that's like 3 hours long and it's based on like the first book or so. Even that, if it was faithful, it'd be like, okay, I mean, it's obviously just a very small part of the Dark Tower series. It's just this little bit, but it's faithful and it's good and it's awesome and it's at least a lengthy movie. No, we got the fucking lowest denominator, the lowest form that they could do. An hour-and-a-half film that has nothing to do with anything. It was just... My God. And I was relating it. I was kind of relating it to Ziggy, so he could kind of understand throughout the movie. Like I was comparing it to Lord of the Rings. Like I was telling him, like if they made Lord of the Rings the movies, but they made like Pippin the main character or something. That's pretty much what it was. Um, or like they replaced the eagles with like portals. Like just like if they just completely missed the point of the books of Lord of the Rings and they made it into a single hour and a half long film. And it's just there's just no, you cannot do it properly. It's impossible. Don't even try. And I would have been maybe okay with it if it was an hour and a half. Oh, well, hour and a half. All right, that's pretty rough no matter what. 2 hours. It was 2 hours. It was just like the first book. That's it. You know, it's about Roland, and he kind of, obviously, he would probably have to speak a little bit more than he normally does because it's a movie. But you get the scene, you get Tull, you get the scenes in Tull, the massacre in Tull. You get him like actually chasing the fucking man in black across the desert. You get him talking about the tower and sort of, you know, you keep it vague and mysterious, but you still, you know, tell its importance. Just the first book, you have Jake in there, but you have the regular ending to that book, and just, oh my gosh. And oh my, I could honestly talk about it for like hours, just how fucking terrible it was. And I do not normally talk about movies like this, but this was, it might be the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It honestly might be. I mean, there are movies that are made with, you know, far lower quality. You know, Mangg's movies, I've seen a lot of shit. I've seen Mr. Jingles and the Tomb and Axum and stuff like that are just like, you know, like student projects that are just shit. But as far as affecting me and like just all encompassing and everything, it might be the worst thing that I've ever seen. Just, okay, as a brief, very quick example before I end the video, the book series are about Roland and his quest for the Dark Tower. Okay? That's what it is. That, I mean, the book series is the idea came to Stephen King based on a poem called Child Roland to the Dark Tower Came, or something like that. It's about Roland, it's about the Dark Tower. All right? That's all he cares about. It is like his entire focus, his entire reason for existing is to get to the Dark Tower. That's not really a spoiler. This is explained pretty quickly. In the movie is about Jake Chambers, who is, yeah, I mean, he's an important character, don't get me wrong, but he's not the main character. And in the movie, Roland only cares about killing the man in black for revenge. This is just false. It's wrong. It's like I made an exploring series video and just like I just made up facts and I just like, oh, Luke killed Obi-Wan Kenobi and then he joined up with Darth Vader so they could take out the Death Star. It's just like, what the But the biggest, I don't want to say it was the biggest travesty. It was a big travesty. In the movie though, there's a scene where Jake has to like convince and scold Roland for like abandoning the quest for the Dark Tower just for his revenge for the Man in Black. I honestly, I can't even, I don't even know if I have like a Lord of the Rings comparison to like explain how much of a travesty that. I'm done talking about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's the worst movie I've ever seen. Obviously, if you don't know anything about the books, it'll probably just be like a shitty movie, maybe a decent movie, depending on your perspective. But I think if you are really a fan of the book series, it should be just an atrocity in your eyes. I can't believe that Stephen King signed off on that. And people, I mean, if you go to the Dark Tower forums or the Reddit or whatever, they're just they're as upset as I am. But one person said that Stephen King said about the film, he said the creators of that film have remembered the faces of their father. That's what he said about the creators of the films, which is just Stephen, will you do anything for a paycheck? Have some fucking pride, man. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So that's The Dark Tower. Worst movie I've ever seen. Put it down. Mark it down. Oh my god. Like, I would rather watch that new Fantastic Four movie that came out 3 times in a row before I ever even think about seeing The Dark Tower again. I would love to just erase it from my memory and pretend it never existed. Oh my god. I mean, at least I have the books. You know, he can't touch the books. They're all done. They're all printed. Just, it's good. It's just, leave it alone. I have those. I can read them. I can enjoy them. But that oh my god. And it's a big shame. Well, I mean, of course it's a big shame, but it's like, it's got Idris Elba. I love Idris Elba. It's got Matthew McConaughey. I'm a great fan of Matthew McConaughey. I thought Matthew McConaughey was a little miscast, but I thought, with good writing, he could pull it off just fine. Idris Elba, I mean, I started reading the series after Idris Elba was announced as Roland, so I've been reading with him kind of in my mind. So for him, it was a great fit. And I thought he did a fine job of acting in the film, but they fucked everything. Anyways, I'm done. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.